This is how it started for Sweet Baby Inc.
The 0-2 pitch from Gainey. Swung on miss. Strikeout number 4 for Garrett Gainey out of the bullpen. Strike 3 called on the inside corner. Pitch. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Yeah, that's a great breaking ball.
This is how it's ended.
2-0 to Chufo. Hit well. Left center field. Does it have enough? Brewer back to the wall. Look it up. We'll see tomorrow. To walk it off in Colombia.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Saladino. Warner Brothers says the failure of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League contributed to a $200 million hit to revenue. Now, I wasn't surprised to see that Suicide Squad failed. Actually, of course you can't be surprised because it failed right out the gate. Soon as the game was released, like a day or two before it, the early release, they tripped and fell flat on their face. Everybody knew before the game even came out that it was going to be a failure because no one in their right mind would think that a Suicide Squad game, especially one against the Justice League, would be successful. All of the early gameplay reveals, people making videos about it, Kyle, other people talking about just how absurd it is to turn a superhero universe into a looter shooter. So you have people like Boomerang, who's on the Suicide Squad, whose whole deal, his whole gimmick, his shtick is boomerangs. You got him shooting guns. You got King Shark or Killer Shark, whatever his name is, this big, huge tank running around with shooting his little gun. None of this made sense. And then to add shit strawberry on an already shit sundae, you have Sweet Baby Inc. in charge of basically the story, shaping the story, doing all of the banter and that kind of thing. And of course, you have people like this who are politically motivated. They're feminists. They're LGBTQ activists. They're obsessed with trans people. They're obsessed with straight men in the sense that they don't want straight men to find women appealing. And so you have this perfect recipe of failure. And for Warner Brothers not to have known this out the gate, not to have people working for them anymore who have enough sense to say, hey, look, we may not like the the lack of political interest of our customer base, but they pay our bills. Let's just do what they like. I mean, even if you're going to do a Suicide Squad game, you're hurting yourself if you make Harley look like she does in the Suicide Squad game now. You have the real devs who worked on the Arkham series, and you see how Harley looked. And obviously there are all kinds of comparison videos showing how Harley looked, especially at her zenith in Arkham Knight. And then you see how she looks in the Suicide Squad game. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. You're already at a disadvantage. And then you further handicap yourself by nerfing Harley. And then you have the whole thing about Harley becoming a feminist icon in the comics and the HBO show. And then the fact that she's lesbian Deadpool, essentially, like your boy Zach calls her, where she's in this relationship with Poison Ivy. And then even then, they don't even make Poison Ivy an attractive, sexy femme fatale in the game. No, they turn her into a kid. So it's like they're playing into all of the ideas about that, leftists and activists or groomers. And they're all about being degenerate and all into bestiality and PDF file nonsense and stuff. It's insane how Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League represents all of the worst of the DEI whores, the worst of these sociopaths who are in these male-dominated spaces in order to destroy them. That's all this is about. And so as far as Sweet Baby Inc. goes, they think they've done an amazing job. And they've just destroyed the studio. Rocksteady is done after this. They're going to be shut down within a year. I don't think they're going to be around next year at this time. I think they're going to be shut down. Because the real Rocksteady is gone. Those people left, they're doing another thing. But I don't understand how, if you're Warner Brothers, you look at Rocksteady saying, hey, let's make a Superman game now. And they go, no, you're not going to make a Superman game. You're going to make a Suicide Squad game. And I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that the Zack Snyder Supermans weren't well received in a way. They had, a bad reputation in a way. I don't know if that has something to do with it, particularly, Batman versus Superman or whatever was an issue for them. and they looked at that first Suicide Squad movie and thought, well, everybody loves Harley, but they don't even make Harley look like that. That iconic outfit, and it's iconic, I guess, in the sense that it was so popular. Every woman in the world cosplayed as Harley in that particular outfit from that first film. But it didn't even last. When James Gunn did it, they put her in a tutu, and you can see the difference between the reception. Suicide Squad, that second one shouldn't have failed. It already had kind of a built-in audience. But I don't see how you can say, no, let's not do Superman, let's do Suicide Squad. People like that more. I don't know. I don't get it. But the thing I didn't think about, knowing obviously this was going to fail, that the real Rocksteady, those real devs left, and you have all these incompetent people. You have these leaks where people are talking about, well, we wanted to use Green Arrow, but it's too much trouble to design the game where he could use his bow and arrow. Because it's a looter shooter and they want everybody to have the same weapon, guns. They don't want to put in the work to differentiate different people's skills and weapons and gear and talent and stuff like that. It's a lazy, idiotic game. It's like you have untalented people trying to realize a vision of stupid people who are politically motivated, who are actively doing things that's against what their customer base wants and is interested in. And you can't bully these people. The game came out. You have people attacking customers for not loving the game or blaming Sweet Baby Inc. for obvious decisions that they made. The whole speech that Harley gives Batman before she kills him in basically that alley where she's talking to him as if he's really the villain, not somebody who's turned evil, as if he's somebody who's been doing evil all this time, even before Brainiac turned him bad. Like she was talking to him and lecturing him as if she was on the moral high ground. It's insane. But there's tons of videos about that. Plenty of people have been talking about that. The thing that really stood out to me with this failure that the Warner Brothers had to admit, yes, this was a failure. The thing I didn't really think about when I first heard of this was this whole idea of how the failure of Suicide Squad impacts the success of Hogwarts Legacy from last year. I didn't think about that. So I'm looking at this little article in Get Girl. It's really short. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League has cost WB $200 million. Rocksteady launched its live service focused game, which was also a really stupid idea. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League back in February to negative reviews. Since then, the number of active players has plummeted and the game's first season of post-launch content has done nothing to move the needle. Warner Bros. Executives had already stated it would be a rough year for its gaming business after the game's poorly received launch. Now, following the game's first season, we have a clearer picture of the situation. As part of WB's quarterly earnings report, sales of the game have been disappointing, adding that the game has generated significantly lower revenues. In all, WB has taken a $200 million hit on Suicide Squad, undoing much of the good work they did in 2023 with the release of Hogwarts Legacy. That's insane. I didn't think about that. So, last year, Hogwarts Legacy was the biggest game in the world, largely fueled by the boycott, where just saying a man can't actually be a woman was enough for these people to lose their minds, to turn on J.K. Rowling, who was on their side, to attack her, and then attack anybody who said, I'm going to get the game. So, of course, people out of spite, I'm going to buy the game too. A lot of people who bought the game probably didn't even play it. People who bought it for other people who bought multiple copies, just to show that, hey, we support people putting out the games they want, despite Twitter, despite activists. They're not going to learn, though, Warner Brothers. They're not going to learn. They're in bed with Sweet Baby Inc. So even though they've seen this massive failure, they're going to continue to fail because you look at Hogwarts, clearly the success of it was a huge rejection of woke shit. Because like I said, I played the game, there's a lot of great stuff about it, but the boycott shielded it from criticism from people like me and others who would have said, hey, there's a lot of woke nonsense in it. I can't fully embrace this game. And Warner Brothers seems like they're going to double and triple down on this nonsense with this new series. It's such a great idea to do a television adaptation of Harry Potter. But they're going to make Hermione black. They're going to race swap it and they're going to mess it up. It's not going to be as successful as it could be because they're going to mess it up. But anyway, so the thing is, though, Warner Brothers is shooting themselves in the foot. They decided not to do a Superman game. They hired Sweet Baby Inc. to work on Suicide Squad. And now, even with, so it says here, so despite the situation here showing that WB's strong IP can be leveraged well in the single-player games market, as Hogwarts Legacy was a worldwide bestseller 12 months ago, WB still has its eyes on more live service ventures in the future, with plans to create ongoing live games for all its major franchises. This stuff has infected everything, this DEI stuff. It's not just, okay, so it's bad enough to have incompetent and greedy execs who want to keep pushing models where they constantly make money and money, money. They think that they have like this revolving door, I guess, up to like a cash cow where you're constantly bringing money on a live service game. But the thing is, the quality is not there. You hire diversity people just for their diversity points who are not talented enough to pull the game off. I bet the people who left, the real Rocksteady devs who left to go form a new company, the people who worked on the Arkham games, I bet they could have pulled off a really good Suicide Squad game, but it would have been probably more like GTA. It wouldn't have had anything really to do with the iconic superheroes. They could have been gone and gave Suicide Squad free reign to tear up Metropolis and tear up Gotham City. It could have been one of those things where you had a nice, cool, edgy, kind of satirical take on the superhero genre or something. But you hire Sweet Baby Inc. These people are morons. They're not talented. They care about their agenda. The whole sensitivity reading thing is all about taking away what's interesting, all the rough edges, all the creativity, all the, you know what you're going to get as soon as you see Sweet Baby Inc. is attached to it. That's why the Steam Detected list is so popular. That's why everybody's against this. They're in a hobby. They're in comics, they're in video games, they're in Star Wars, they're in MCU. They're in a hobby that's male dominated, that's not driven by LGBTQ nonsense and stuff like that, like this activism. It's driven by people just want to have cool, fun, interesting stories and sexy characters, and they don't want to provide that. Their games have gotten more and more expensive. They don't have to be, but it's because it's like a combination of, we're spending all this money to do these huge, big budget games to attract people, to trap them into doing live service nonsense. So I don't know. It's like they've created a monster that they are afraid to get away from, but it's hurting them. And the fact that, like, I don't know, games take so long to make, we're probably going to be dealing with this for years to come. You look at something like Wolverine game that Insomniac's creating. That's absolute Sweet Baby Inc. nonsense. It's not going to be a huge hit. They spend all this money on it. Even, okay, Spider-Man 2 did well, fine, but it certainly underperformed. Whether they admit it or not, it definitely underperformed. You know nobody talks about Spider-Man 2. They only talk about Spider-Man 2 to talk shit about it, to make fun of MJ. You can't force people to buy your stuff. I don't care how political active you are. You're not going to force people to buy it. You could make this stuff, but people are not going to buy it if they don't like it. They're not even going to pirate it if they don't like it. So, yeah, I just thought it was funny that nobody's surprised that Suicide Squad failed and it cost WB all this money because they're spending too much money on concepts that nobody interested in. Why would you spend so much money on a Suicide Squad game and then have the nerve to make Harley have approved body type, to make her ugly, and then turn Poison Ivy into a little kid? What makes you think, like, whether you like straight males or not, what makes you think you can insult them and then get money from them at the same time? People are crazy. And then you got Hogwarts Legacy, biggest game of the year, bigger than Call of Duty last year. And they've already squandered that goodwill with this Suicide Squad game. And they seem like, Warner Brothers, seem like they're going to dig themselves further into a hole going forward.